This is the Art Beauty Podcast where we tell the real truth about the fake shit. I'm Amber, and today my fabulous, angelic co-host is Selena Polgady. She is a cosmetic artist, and this woman, I call her an angel because she is all about using her skills for good and giving back, helping women who are either going through cancer treatment or the fabulous survivors. One of the things that she specializes in is microblading and brows and giving women their brows back. Selena, it is such an honor to have you on the show, and thank you.
So
God,
excited to be here.
I was so impressed when I saw some of the work that you've done with women. I think that for so many of us, we may know somebody who has had cancer, who's been touched by cancer, but I wonder if sometimes we forget, how hard it must be when you're going through that.
It
For
is, and they
women,
don't
yeah.
seem like they are going through treatment. So I've actually, even with giving back, have taken it back a little bit than just to say, hey, you're getting this because you're going through treatment,
Okay.
I'm just trying to be a friend to them, I think,
Yeah.
more so, and sending them different cool things.
I love it. And you have actually created an entire makeup line, Glam by Selena, which we are going to talk about a little bit later. But why don't you tell me, how did you sort of get into this? And I want to make sure that we're not, that I'm now making sure that I'm calling this right. But you do offer women free microblading services who are going through this treatment, right? Correct? Or who've been through?
Yes. So I do giveaways now. It got crazy. I was offering it to everyone at first, and then it got so crazy. And so now I do a few giveaways where I give away a free pair of new eyebrows, and I do a bit of microblading and ombre-brow. So it's a bit of shading as well. Sometimes it can be a little bit more delicate on the skin. So, yeah.
So how did you get into this?
I worked as a makeup artist in store for other makeup companies as well as on set. And the biggest question was always like, I hate that this has to wash off at the end of the night because you did my eyebrows so good, or, my eyelashes, my eyeliner, my lips. So it just, that, strikes something in me. And then Glam by Selena was created.
Got it. So you were getting into sort of this cosmetic, permanent makeup artistry, doing both like lip blushing and then also microblading for brows?
Yeah. Well, so lip blushing, microblading, eyebrows, and tattooing. So I tattoo a lot of them. Scalp micropigmentation.
Okay. Oh, I see your, what is it? Was that a melon right there?
The melon. Yeah. You like to always keep your skills sharp, so.
Yeah.
And I have different clients that have alopecia and different, but I do body camouflage as well. So stretch marks, it can be done inkless without the ink, but still with the tattoo machine. So I've been trained on a few things. I train all over. COVID changed a couple things. So we were able to kind of do a few other things, maybe also from home. So I've trained with some international people, and it's been really cool because now I'm back and forth. Like we were going to talk about all
back
these
and
places.
forth between where?
So California, Tennessee, and it was North Carolina, but now we've been trying to focus here.
Okay.
More.
So, and you're here right now. You're in Nashville?
I'm in Nashville. Yes.
Okay. Got it. So I was recently in Nashville not too long ago. Awesome city.
Did you love
so much
it?
fun. Like, music everywhere. Such a great time. And then you're going between California. That's nice. You're getting the best of both worlds.
I know. I'm so fortunate because I have people that I meet here that are like, they've never traveled before, ever. They haven't ever gone on a plane. And sometimes we think just because we travel, it's a lot, but really some people were fortunate to do it.
Oh,
I always remind myself that with work, you're like each time going back and forth.
Oh, no. It is a very lucky thing. So I do want to talk about, I love that you said now that you do sort of a lot of stuff virtually because, I wanted to bring you on because again, for women who are either, who maybe just found out that they have to undergo chemo, who've had to undergo chemo, for people who have survived that, there's certain skincare and makeup tips and things that I think that people, who haven't been through that aren't even aware of. And I was wondering
Yeah,
if you could
agree.
sort of give us a sort of an overview of some of the skincare and makeup tips that you give to people.
So I
And let's
had a
start
big,
with skincare. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, skincare is a big thing to me because my family personally was affected by skin cancer. And that's a
Okay.
it's a big role behind why I do what I do. And I had to have a big chunk taken out of my neck. So I really try to preach to people, use a physical sunscreen.
Yeah.
So that's something that sits above the skin, and not chemical. As long as you look for a good one, It Cosmetics has a great, I tell people, at least if you want to go out, and this is for my survivors and warriors as well, sometimes because of treatment, they may be just drained, and they have a CC cream for It Cosmetics, which is a color corrector, but also SPF 50.
Right.
And that's a physical sunscreen. So that would be a big skin tip. Wear your sunscreen, moisturize, even if it's tinted, just to give you a little glow. Yeah, so that's a big one for me.
Now, when people are going through chemo, what are some of the effects that we see? I think we all are aware of hair loss, right? Hair loss, not just on your head, but also your lashes,
Burns,
your eyes.
radiation.
Okay.
My boyfriend's mother just went through chemo and had to have chemo and radiation, and she had burns after just trying to heal the wounds. So, they go through a lot physically as well. And I think a lot of this hit me from the beginning to help people that are going through treatment. My dad lost his dad to cancer, and I never got to meet him, but he's so affected by it. And you really see the toll it takes. And like you said, I think you have a friend whose mom, you just never know.
Yeah.
Right? It's happening so much. It can
my grandmother passed from pancreatic cancer, which was very quick. Pancreatic cancer is weeks to months, not months to years. But
I know how that feels. We just lost my aunt not too long ago, and they actually brushed it off like it was basically nothing. And she had pancreatic and it spread. So she had months. I know.
Which is right now, like a good reminder to everybody listening, go get checked up. I know that with COVID too, a lot of people were putting off going to the doctor, but go get your tests, go to your doctor. If there's something weird, skin cancer is one of the most deadly, but yet most preventable types of cancer that we can have. So go get your skin checked once a year. Please do it. Going back to that, you were mentioning, so we've got things like hair loss. We've got, possible burns. And then is the skin get just very dried from chemo?
It does. You go through changes. And the hair loss. Some people grow hair back. Some people don't, they're still fighting to get it back.
So are there certain things, I want to make sure that this is easy sort of for people and digestible for people. So let's start with the skin. And for people not post chemo, but when you're going through chemo, are there certain products that you found that you like, or that people that your clients have said, wow, this really helped me?
So you know how you said their skin gets very dry and parched. I've suggested almond oil to a lot of people, and they really like it.
Okay.
For hydration, because sometimes other things can soak into the skin and not necessarily hydrate.
Okay.
There's a lot of silicones, so trying to stay kind of natural, so almond oil and coconut oil. Coconut oil sometimes can be drying. People do safflower oil. There's just tap into that for skincare to help. You could start there. And then, like we talked about, always putting something on your face as well. I wouldn't suggest, something super pore clogging, because they can get rashes on their skin as well. But I would highly suggest the It Cosmetics.
You really am liking the It Cosmetics. Yeah. And what about if you're not looking to do moisturizer?
Just SPF.
Well, what if you're looking not to do like a tinted moisturizer, but is there like just a nighttime moisturizer cream that you like?
So I'm going to say, because I've been in the cosmetic field for a little bit, go to your dermatologist and really get a good skincare. Yeah. Really invest in your skincare, because I can suggest Cetaphil, and I love that as a gentle cleanser. If you're going through anything and need to stop and just see kind of what's affecting you in your makeup routine or skincare, cut everything out, use a light cleanser like CeraVe, Cetaphil, and just start there. But really invest in your skincare. I've learned over the years, it makes sense to have a good one, because if you're just sitting there putting ingredients on your skin that aren't doing anything and just kind of clogging, like a lot of dimethicone, and silicone and things, and So yeah, invest in your skin.
I think that's a wonderful, wonderful tip. Now, when it comes to hair care, and I know that you're really more of the face, but you do deal with the the tattooing. Are there
Yeah.
things that you like when it comes to hair care products?
So hair care, if they're growing their hair back, I suggest using like a coconut oil and castor oil just to stimulate that growth. It only does so much. They have PRP injections, and a lot of people try to do different things like the freeze cap if they had that during treatment. So it just depends on what person. My Chihuahua is trying to make his appearance in this.
That's okay. Listen, he's got opinions too. We all do
He
on
does.
this.
He has so many. But yeah, so yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about the permanent makeup, because you have really transformed some lives. I love seeing all of the images that you have on social media, on your website. You had video of women who have had treatment, and it really is a game changer. What is the process for that when you're doing microblading?
So I asked you a couple health questions, and some people I ask if they're still on treatment, because not too many people do permanent makeup while being on treatment.
I can imagine. Yeah.
I changed it up a little bit because I lost one of my survivors, and she was a very big one to me. And we didn't have a chance to get eyebrows on her because of COVID. And that's why I started doing a lot of the virtual, but we lost her. So I just was like, I can't wait, and she kept wanting to even pay me. And I'm just like, at that point, I just couldn't take her money because I didn't, now I have it to the giveaways, but that was a big thing. And I'm like, now I'm just saying, do it for Dana. And if they get cleared by a doctor, because like, if it takes, only a little bit of time that they have left, they got some brows on them, and sometimes we can do it. Sometimes we can't, yeah.
So once they've been cleared, I mean, this isn't something that is a little amount of time, right? Like, so the brow procedure is like 2 to 3 hours. Can you tell us what you do during that procedure?
Yes, because say, I've done eyebrows on someone that hasn't had eyebrows in 17 years. So it could be starting from no hair to they just got done with treatment and have no hair, or very little from later, years later in life where they grew back a little bit but don't have a lot of hair there. So yeah, it just depends on that. And we really structure it, and it takes a few follow-up sessions, because you heal and peel. So you lose a little pigment, and then, each time we add and perfect. I hate saying this. They're sisters, not twins, but I really am like, trying to be perfect.
So walk me through that, because I mean, I think there's a lot of people who are probably listening to this right now who've heard of microblading, but really don't know what it really is. And now we've all seen I remember my school nurse from when I was in elementary school, and this was like 1,000 years ago. She had the permanent brows, and I mean, it just looked like somebody had.
Was it like
one color? No,
it used to oxidize the ink.
No, but they were brown, but they just looked like. Yeah, we've come a long way.
It was trend, right? We've come a long way. Before it was just a line, basically.
No, hers wasn't like the Britney line. This wasn't this. I'm talking about like this was like in like the early 90s, late 80s. And she just had the brow tattooed on, but it was just like, one color and the outline of like what you would think a brow would be. So we've come a long way from now, right? Like now they do like a lot of hair strokes. So tell us what's different today.
So that's actually a big thing, correction work, because some people have gone through treatment and then they want them corrected, because someone people have different skin types. So that goes with tattooing. The machine work is good for oily skin versus microblading. Sometimes those hair strokes won't look good if they're not on the right skin type. So that has a lot to do with the process. And if you notice, now you're going to look in the mirror when you get home, but one eyebrow is higher than the other.
Right. Sisters, that's why you call them sisters, not twins.
Sisters, not twins. So we try to do our best. I'll sit there and I'll map them out, and I try to actually raise it and give it a more lifting look in general. And this is just my technique.
Right.
But I just try to give them a youthful appearance, and we go from there. Usually they just answer those pre-health questions and then we get them set up. Now I've been doing the giveaways, so I'll collaborate with someone like you, where we'll do a little giveaway where we're, giving it away to a warrior survivor and they can win that.
I love that. I want to know more about this though, because I'm really trying to make it clear for people who let's pretend somebody doesn't know what microblading is. We've heard of it, but a microblade, okay. Can you explain what microblading is to somebody?
So microblading uses different types of blade. There's a nano blade and regular blades. I use a nano blade and we go in and we create fluffy little hair strokes.
Okay.
So that's
when you say a blade, but essentially what we're doing is we are tattooing on.
No, totally different. People get that confusion between microblading. Microblading is not technically, it's like, because it's applying ink under the skin, but that's not like tattooing, like with the gun tattooing.
Okay.
So that's why I say I don't just microblade. A lot of people say, she's known for microblading. Actually, I'm known for more tattooing. And then I do a little bit of that 3D definition work in there because they're two different procedures. So that's where I was saying the oily skin, you'd want to go in with the machine versus the strokes, because that manual stroke, it may not hold. So really make sure when you're looking for an artist, especially if you don't know about permanent makeup, that kind of knows a few of the different techniques based.
Right. Oh, great. Yeah. So now we're cooking with gas here, sister. Now you're following me. So I'm a person who clearly doesn't know the difference between or what to ask for. What are the things that I should go in, and not me specifically, but if I'm listening to this podcast right now and I'm thinking, I think I want microblading, but I don't know. What are the things that I should go in and ask an artist?
I would go in and I would ask for before and afters, of course. Right. So before and after pictures, you can ask them a little bit about their license, because it's always good to know. You never know these days, who's doing anything. So just be like, how long have you been doing this, or licensed, or where you've been trained? So, look up their credentials, their work, and ask if they are familiar with all the different techniques. Do your research on.
And so what are some of the different techniques?
So it would be the microblading and more of the shading, which is tattooing, essentially.
Okay. Got it.
Yes.
And you said that for people with more oily skin, the microblading,
they benefit more from the shading, I would say. Yeah.
Why is that?
Sometimes microblading, I don't know. Have you ever gotten permanent makeup done?
No.
Okay. So this is what I explained literally to someone who's never had it, is that the shading gives your skin more retention versus the blading. They're little strokes that you really have to make sure you make apart, or it can all bleed together in the first place and then become blotchy. Right. So that's why I ask if someone's had permanent makeup, because they could be like, oh, it's just light, it's not that bad. But really it's all the ink that's under there.
Got it.
Because it's all blent together.
So now, I always wondered, if you have your brows microbladed, like what happens later on?
That's why you want to make sure, and this is that part, that you have a good artist, because you want to come back and your skin to be good and healing, not just microbladed and microbladed and microbladed, after and after. And that's why make sure you know your artist and the different techniques. And that's why I'm a little bit pricier in my area, but it's because I really take my time and I'm super picky about people's skin, or if something does happen and their skin reacts away, I'm very upfront with them, honest. I'm not just like, have eyebrows on for 2 years. No, your face is the first thing to the sun. You exfoliate it. People use
retinols, right? And products can actually affect the color, correct?
Correct, because they can crawl, even though they think they're keeping it away from their eyebrows. You know how products can crawl, retinols,
right? And
vitamin A's and vitamin C's. So yes, that's a thing. And I go over that. I have a long
So one thing for people to be considering is cancer survivor or not, if you've ever had microblading, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, you want to be really careful with the products that you're using, because that can affect the color.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Got it.
It can more so lighten the color. They're already going to lighten on their own.
Right.
Because they get lighter, because our face is the first thing to the sun. And like we just talked about, exfoliation. So the only time the color really turns bad is if it's a certain ink that oxidized in a weird way, or undertone, which then people color boost, or you can color correct. And that's something you want to be aware of too, just in case you pull more warm or pull more cool. And you personally would like that change, speak up to your artist Because if you keep going back for a touch-up or a second or third session, because of how your skin holds pigment,
right.
You want to speak up with that because it's ink that's being placed. And sometimes we can boost it if you give it enough time to make them aware.
So you mentioned like the 3D effect. And I know prior to us recording this, we were talking, I had a young girlfriend who is a breast cancer survivor. She found out when she was 30. And yeah. And unfortunately, she had a double mastectomy and they couldn't save any of the nipples. So she is considering, I know they do incredible 3D
All need to just
tattooing.
come down to Nashville. That's what you need to do. Then you can come hang out and she can get her nipples done by Jeff or Caitlin at the shop. They do amazing work and they do it for free for breast cancer survivors.
So can I ask you, you have been, firsthand working with these women. What is the reaction that you see?
So they get very happy once they're healed. When also something we left out was when you first get them done, know they're going to be darker and then they peel. So also going in when you're picking color, let your artist know if you like a darker eyebrow. But that's the first reaction. Once they are so excited to have them on, some people don't know who they are. And then once they start to soften, I'll get messages and they're just like, I haven't had an eyebrow on in years. My kid can splash me in the pool and my eyebrows don't come off. Or, someone that hasn't had them in 17 years where their whole salon noticed that something was different, but what?
Right.
And it just gives them that confidence. And that's a lot.
That's so wonderful. You also, I want to make sure that we get to talk about your makeup line. Tell us what made you decide to create a makeup line?
When I lost my survivor, who we were talking about, Dana, I locked myself in my mom's room. So it was really hard. I think when you first lose somebody, because you go along with them, I feel as if, you're lost too. It's like a piece of you. So sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It just gets, that was a hard one. And I've lost other ones since. And I don't think it gets easier,
No.
even like pets.
Yeah.
When you lose one, it doesn't get easier. So it's one of those things where you're just like, you love them while they're here.
Yeah.
And, try to send them things or do things to make them feel better.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing.
Oh,
but
so sorry.
From that, I got super depressed and locked myself in my mom's room. And I just was creating things like a mad scientist. So I even had people that were like laughing at me, like, oh, you think she's going to come out with a makeup line, because I would go around passing out these little samples and like jars, they probably were like, what the heck is this? But to people that I knew had an effect or, they do makeup and it's just so cool to see it come to fruition because, I literally care about what's in the products. And like we were talking about, there's a balance between synthetic and organic, but I try to keep it to where it's a little bit better. That's
listen, I think that we want some preservatives in our products.
We
Otherwise
do.
They would get bacteria and mold and, they wouldn't last.
And this, because I'm sure you've done so much with your beauty podcast. So I'm sure you've talked about this, but people get these fad ways that they have to be paraben free or have to be, but like you said, it keeps preservatives and really going into this and how I was creating product. I saw that like you actually needed when you really start to do research and why we've even come up with some of these ingredients, you start to see. But the fact that I even care about it, because there are people that put a product on the shelf and they don't care. I'm sure they don't care to read it, but like, this is a great product, whatever makes it work. I will sit there and I will say no 10 times. And I'm like, no, we have to do it this way. Because I'm just like, and it's even held me back sometimes from some launches, but I want it to be good. If I wouldn't want to use it,
then you don't want it. And so your line now, you've got lashes, brows,
reusable,
beautiful lip glosses, correct?
Yes.
Nice. And
we're working on a few other goodies.
Oh, can you give us a little hint?
So I really like, if someone can't do the permanent makeup and need a little stencil,
Right.
So I'm working on a little stencil. So we're going to come out with it, and you can use any of your eyeshadows at home. There are brands out there that, come with something to do it, but because so many people have reactions to the certain inks in these products, I was like, you know what, leave it to whatever they use. If you have an eyeshadow that you use and your eye doesn't react from it, put that on your brush, sister, and stencil it in. And they're really good stencils. And that goes to, for the cancer survivors and warriors, if they don't have hair, it at least gives them a guide to go by. So that's lunch. I just gave you all the tea.
Right. Oh, good. No, thank you. I think, it matters so much because I'm sure there's so many people who just don't even know where to begin. You're going through this overwhelming journey, or maybe you've just come out of having to go through this intense, literal battle for your life. And you're ready to start feeling good about yourself, and you want to feel good about yourself. And it's like, where do you begin?
Yeah. Exactly.
I love what you said earlier. So when it comes to skincare, talk to your dermatologist. I love that you mentioned Cetaphil, CeraVe. Those are very light cleansers we all know about. Almond oil and some of the other oils that you mentioned for the body are beautiful. Are there any other makeup, besides your own, but brands that you feel like are especially user friendly for survivors or warriors?
I would say I'm such a big person on that It Cosmetics CC cream. If there's anything you can do to protect your skin, it would be there because of going through treatment and it being so open to pollution. So it would be that. There are amazing cheek stains that just give a little bit of blush back in, or you can use a little shadow. Even lipstick is a trick. Dab a little bit of your favorite pink or red rouge and just dab it as blush.
Yeah.
I love the eyelashes, whatever brand you can get basically any brand you can get your hands on, whether it be Walgreens, online, somebody's brand, learn, do a couple tutorials. You can find so many things on YouTube, and also just being aware of people. My whole thing is I want to teach more classes. Right. So I do like to do more Zooms because of COVID, and lives where we might be showing them how to do some more tips and tricks, because it may be hard, or if they can't find it on YouTube, or it just didn't click with how someone shared it. Sometimes people could have different tricks, just like the lipstick on the cheek. You can also use lipstick under your eyes for circles, and then you just put your concealer over it. Very light. You're going to look like you have a blacked out eye, but then just put
because folks, red counteracts that dark color. I know that too. I had a makeup artist once, and before she would put concealer, she'd pull out I would say like a reddish brown cream. And she was like, just watch this. And she'd pat it on just the dark circles, not anywhere else. And it will actually counteract the color, and it lets your concealer go on beautifully. You know what? I'm going to let you now tell us. So if people want to hear more, I think you gave us some really great, wonderful, usable tips here. I want to thank you for everything that you've done for warriors and survivors, especially in terms of adding that permanent makeup back on. But if people want to know more about you, if they're interested in maybe taking classes with you or reaching out to you, where should they go?
Yeah, you can email me right through the website. It's glambyselena.com. It'll say book now, but you can press that as well, or down on the services page, just to shoot me a message about anything that you want to talk to me about.
And then where are your lives going on Instagram?
We are doing more on Instagram. So we're going to do a few more and share some videos on some tips and tricks, some reels.
And is that at Glam by Selena?
Yes, it's the glam_by_Selena. And in that bio, you can see all the cosmetic page and the permanent makeup.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about these possible launches from you. The stencils, we will look forward to those and launching those. I want to thank you so much for being on with us today, and for all of the work that you do for women who, like we said, warriors and survivors.
Thank you. And thank you for being real about makeup. I love your whole vibe.
We got to keep it real, because listen, where else are you going to go? I tell the truth. I don't let people pay me to tell a story. I will let brands like yourself come on, talk, but then I want to ask the questions that I want to know, right? Like, listen, microblading is a fabulous thing, but people need to know that color can change. it's not a one and done procedure, and you have to just be aware of that, but it's still a fabulous procedure if that is something that you want to do.
Yes.
On that note, I'm going to let everybody go and have a fabulous time. If you want me to pass any information along, if you've got questions you want me to ask Selena, I'm happy to do that. You can email me at hello@artbeautypodcast. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and right here on YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.